Oh my goodness. Scary story time. Scary story time. Well, I told you I'd be back a lot later than I said I was going to be, so for that I apologize. The apology is going to be short-lived though, so don't get used to it, people. I told you I'd be back to tell you a scary story about Smyth, the Valley Cemetery whoremonger / killer. Now, I heard this story yesterday. It was told to me. Knew nothing about it before I went. I was cutting through the cemetery, as I do from time to time, now anyway, since I've been traveling there. And, well, I've seen some stuff there now. Stuff that, well, you know, kind of backs up the whole thing of what I was telling you about before, right? The whole ghost girl story. But let's talk about this Smyth character. Now, one of the times that I had gone to the cemetery, I had tried to walk on this monument. It's like the only one. It's like the biggest one there. Pillars. It almost looks like a little courthouse building. It's huge, right? And it's on the edge of this cliff, like overlooking what used to be, I think, a pond or something at one point in time, which would explain the bridge. More about that in a second, though. So, you know, the very first time I went there, when I was walking on it, I had this intense fear or feeling that something was going to push me off, like throw me off of it. That's how I felt. It was weird. I tried to get to the front of it and sit on the front where you could overlook it, and there's like steps you can sit on and everything. But it just, I couldn't do it. And it's not even that high up, you know what I mean? It's not super high up, so there's no reason to be afraid of it. But if someone were to fucking push you off, you're going to hit trees and rocks and other tombstones and shit. You're going to fuck yourself up. It's going to hurt. You're going to break something. So, you know, I didn't go. So yesterday, I happened to be walking through there, and there was these two people that were sitting there, and they were talking and shit. So I figured if it didn't throw one of them off, then I'd be fine. And if it did throw me off, at least there'd be people there to kind of help me if I fell down and busted my head or some shit and got knocked the fuck out. Right? Okay. So I'm sitting there talking to them, like, hey, what's up? How you doing? You want to smoke a blunt? They already smoked a blunt, smelled good, didn't smoke together with them. Just chill, you know, smoking a cigarette. Like, hey, so talking about this. It's like, so hey, have you ever, like, experienced any crazy shit here? And I was like, yeah, fucking place is fucking haunted. It's this place in particular. She's like, I'm surprised he's not banging on the door. She's like, you never heard the banging? I said, I heard banging one time, but I wasn't right here. I thought it was the church chapel thing. So I went and knocked on that door, but nothing came out. I think I have the footage somewhere. I just never uploaded it. One of these days I will. Anyway, so we get to talking about Smyth. S-M-Y-T-H. About, you know, his supposed racistness or being a racist guy. The story that was interesting was that, and this is before I ever told him how I felt like I was gonna get tossed off that shit, right? So she's telling me how this dude is known for having killed whores and thrown them off this, you know, I guess cliff into the pond or lake or river or whatever used to run below it, right? And this is a known thing. It's like not some made up shit. He's known for this. Terrible guy. Fucking asshole. Anyway, so I'm like, really? And he threw them off. So that feeling of being thrown from that is obviously some leftover energy from the victims that he tossed off the goddamn thing. Now, I didn't do any like in-depth research yet to, you know, back up this story. So the story I'm going to tell you about Smyth is going to be one that I completely and totally made up with fake dates, fake people's names. I'm going to give him a fake first name. And I'm going to tell you a story about Smyth, the Whoremonger killer. It's about 1776. You know, the revolution is in full swing. Bam! We want our freedom! Americans are screaming. Colonies are like, fuck this shit. You're not taxing us no more. Smyth, rich guy, owned some land in Manchester. Probably the cemetery that everybody's buried in. Maybe not. Anyway, this guy, he was rich. Owned land, a couple of farms, printing press. He was embedded in the community. They knew him. He was known, well known. He was the guy to go to for everything. He seemed on the outside like any other, person that you would probably deal with or not deal with. But he was a benefactor for many. And for that reason alone, he was pretty much untouchable. You know what I'm saying? He kind of held a seat of office, if you want to consider just being the richest guy in town and telling everybody what else to do. An office seat. I mean, he owned the land that people worked on and lived on, so they really couldn't say much. Well, people started to notice young working girls going missing, only to be found some days down the river. Well, one detective was curious, dug deep, looked into it, found out Jebediah Smyth would be somehow linked to some of these disappearances. Either he'd be seen with these women the same day, or maybe that night. Now everyone knew Jebediah Smyth had a thing for the ladies. There was no question about it. He loved the ladies. He especially loved them young, around the 20s, lower 20s, 22 at the most, 18 at the youngest. He wasn't a pedophile, he just liked his young women. He'd often been seen going through town in his carriage, horse-drawn as it was, 2 to 3 women at a time. He never married. He was a loner. Nobody ever really understood what used to go on inside Jebediah Smyth's mansion. He wined them, he dined them. Some he left alone. He'd go back out and speak highly of him. That's how he kept his cover for so long. Until one day his lust for blood and strangling of women just was too much for him to bear. He snapped. There was a young girl walking down the street. Dirt road, as it was. She had stopped, almost stepped in a cow pie, and she didn't want to dirty her white shoes. He saw this and immediately came out, threw a blanket over the shit for her. She said, "I'm still not going to step on it, that's gross." He said, "Hey, it's okay, it's a blanket. What's the worst that could happen? Your foot might get smushed into it, but you won't have it dirty on your shoe." She thanked him. She stepped across and went on her way. She thought that was the last that she would see him. Obviously, she didn't really care too much for him. And he didn't say anything significant. Well, as she continued to walk on, he said, "Aren't you going to show your appreciation for me ruining my wonderful raccoon coat on this pile of shit?" And she gave him a smart remark. He didn't like it too much. He smacked her with the cane. Right across the face. She fell. He dragged her into his yard. Which was not really a yard as much as it was just land. Just lots of land. A woodsman, who happened to be chopping trees for Mr. Smyth, saw him dragging this young girl through the woods. Found it odd that he was dragging her, because most of the times he's seen women coming into his house, they were walking, standing, of their own accord. They went in, mostly. But this time, no, he was dragging her, and this surprised the woodsman, who, perplexed as he was stupid enough to go ask Mr. Jebediah Smyth if he needed any assistance with the young lady, to which Mr. Smyth said no. "In fact, Thomas, your services are done for the day. You can go home. I'll pay you your full wage." Well, Thomas didn't complain. Free day, work, paid full, early. He could go to the tavern, have a few drinks before he went home to the nagging, ball and chain wife. He accepted. Questioned nothing. He knew that the day off was pay for his silence. And what may or may not be something troubling and disturbing. And it would be troubling and very disturbing when the body was found 2 days later. Mangled beyond all recognition. Body parts severed, cuts so deep they thought it was a beast. But no, it was Mr. Smyth. It's Mr. Smyth. They couldn't tell it was him because where he would toss the bodies from, the river would wash them downward towards the bigger river, and then they'd end up almost out towards sea before anybody could see. So no one knew where they were coming from. They would just find these women. What the woodsman knew became his secret to keep cover for Mr. Smyth. That first day, he should have just minded his own business and never asked. And if he asked, he should have done something. But now he was entangled in this web. Don't know his name, except Thomas. His last name was insignificant. He was a worker, woodsman. Nobody cared. He didn't own land, or so we thought. Or did he? Well, missing women went on for 10 years. Always disappearing in the park. Mr. Smyth's park. He actually built a park with a nice weird path that went through the center of it. Darkness, trees, or get deep with the canopy. You couldn't see light, gone. This is where he would snatch his victims. He would let so many through, obviously, to make it seem safe, but so often, some would go missing. So, fake description of a madman drawn up for everyone to chase and go after. Oh, and they went. Poor young boys who were vagrants, homeless men, beaten, tried for murders they never committed. Women lying, saying that, yes, this man is the man. Paid off by those that may stand to lose for knowing Jebediah Smyth's secret. Well, the detective, he didn't give up. He kept digging deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the mystery of these women disappearing, being found, mangled, chopped, cut. So deep. Had to be a beast. Had to be a beast. He began to study the paranormal and supernatural. He spoke to the witches of Eastwick, those of Salem, just down near Nashville. He even headed into Massachusetts and parts of Connecticut to speak to the natives. What beast could be doing this? What beast would? They learned of the beast. Oh, it lived off the fear of those it entrapped, kidnapped, tortured. It wasn't the blood that fed it. It was the fear. The ultimate fear. And then the wanting of death that only it could bring. Of course, I had no idea what was going on. No one did. It was crazy. Me being a detective finding out this information was ludicrous. I didn't believe it. 1776, shit like this doesn't happen. I hopped back on my horse. Clickety-clack, clickety-clack, traveling the countryside, asking questions, learning, discovering the spirit, evil, death, destruction. Those whose fortunes were gained in blood would be afflicted by this demon. Smyth, oh, his fortune was gained in the blood of many. Many. It was only fair that his soul be corrupted by such a demon, such an evil spirit. This newfound information, I immediately spoke to the church. Puritan church laughed me away. The Quakers said, hey, we don't believe you. He donates a large chunk of money to our churches. He's a good man. That Mr. Smyth, he's a good man. What you are speaking of him are lies. I tell you, we will not stand for it. They laughed me out of the town. Meanwhile, the murders kept going. Now, the bodies were being found closer to the park. It was weird. Still in the pond, off this cliff they were thrown. I had established that. So one day I decided to watch. I paid a young hooker extra to walk alone through the park. I set up a spot and I watched and I waited. What I saw was not what I expected. It frightened me to this day. Scared. It wasn't Jebediah Smyth, after all. It wasn't him at all. A shadow engulfed her quickly. Out of nowhere it came. Out of the darkness, out of the trees. Snatched her. Gone she went. Screams, muffled by the darkness. It had no shape, but yet it had shape. It was weird. It was hard to explain. It was like dark mass that you could see into, and it stopped. All light around it absorbed into it, making it seem solid, but not just a shadow. It was hard to explain. If you saw it, you would understand what I'm saying. You would totally understand it. But you can't now because you don't see it. So, yes, frightened I was. Frightened. I didn't know what to do. I picked up my lantern and lit it aflame. The dull glow of the weak flame illuminated nothing. It's just darkness. And I realized it was standing in front of me. Pretty soon, I noticed this. 2 red, emblazoned eyes appeared at level with my eyes, and I was frozen in fear, shock, frozen. I couldn't move. Every part of my body paralyzed. I mean, down to each hair. They couldn't even stand up on the back of my neck. That's how scared I was. No goosebumps, nothing. Just absolute petrified stuckness. It disappeared as quickly as it came, the girl gone with him. No evidence that she was even there. I immediately ran through the path. Came out the other end, to the light. It was a bright, beautiful day. Jebediah was standing at the top of the cliff. The girl's body in his hands. He tossed her. She screamed, hit the ground, hit the water, splash, drowned, died. I'm looking at him. He's looking at me, and I see that darkness standing behind him, its hand on his shoulder, his eyes completely blackened, staring off into space as if dazed. And it disappeared again, and he came to his senses. I looked at him. He looked at me. He knew. He knew. And I knew what I had to do. I couldn't damage the man's name. It wasn't his fault. But someone had to pay. We sat and talked. He understood what had to be done. Had to sacrifice himself for the better of everything. The priest had told me the only way to destroy the evil demon was to wait until it was inside of Jebediah, and to destroy Jebediah the same way he had destroyed so many. I felt bad for the man. He just enjoyed the ladies. But his fortune, oh, what his fortune was built on. It was worse than tossing ladies off the cliff. But can we blame those whose only means of making money in those times was to kill and take? He had killed many on that land. Many, to claim it as his own. Murdered men, women, children, sleeping in their tents. No mercy. Set them on fire and left them. It was terrible. The things he told me, why his soul had been tainted. Well, there's only one thing I could do. I had to wait. Once again, tempted the spirit with fresh young flesh. Now, myself, I've fed it. My soul is no longer clean. I fed it once, now I feed it again. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. No talking powder. Well, I found another young woman. This time I didn't pay her. Found her, drugged, opium, they say. She was loopy. I took her, I placed her in the middle of the forest. Park path, darkness, canopy overhead. The shadow it came, whisked her away as usual. I followed closely behind. Jebediah at the top of the cliff, standing with the body of the woman. I raised my pistol, but I didn't say anything. For if I had said something and the demon had seen me, he would have left the body immediately. He would have gone elsewhere. Well, so I shot him. Pow! I tried to save the girl, but I couldn't. Unfortunate. They fell together and died. Unfortunately, my trying to save his name from being the whoremonger, mortar, and killer was foiled. They found him dead with the body. They assumed that she had fought and somehow made him fall to his death as well. Well, because of what he had done for the town, and the fact that they were all just whores, it was kind of swept under the rug. There was one blurb in the newspaper, which was then retracted and said it was lies. So in the end, those who knew, knew, but those who didn't know, did not know what I knew. The demon, we thought, was dead. Fast forward 200 years. A whore walking through the... I shouldn't say whore, but that's what they are. They're whores. Walking through the cemetery. It's a small spot where things were said to have been tossed. She was murdered, or found dead, at the bottom of the monument. Nobody sure how. They blame it on a person, a fall that she may have taken, but the fact that her ghost still roams tells me otherwise. She was murdered by Smyth, the demon, or someone else living. Now she roams there because she too is lost. I haven't seen Smyth, but I know he's angry. I felt his presence. Tried to toss me off the goddamn fucking monument like an asshole. And I'm like, dude, you're dead. Why are you being an asshole? There's no reason for you to be an asshole. There's nothing that you can do now. You're dead. You whispered me, I can fucking push your ass off this fucking cliff. At which point I backed the fuck up, you know, because he could. And I can't see him, so it's not like I can turn around. Like, oh, stop. Block him. You know, grab him up, put him in a ghost lock. A ghost headlock, right? Is that what you would call it? Ghost headlock? Well, I couldn't put him in a ghost headlock because I couldn't see his ass. So, what was I going to do? What was I going to do? Well, unfortunately, I found out the demon wasn't dead. I was cursed, obviously. That's why I'm still telling you the story to this day. I guess my feeding of him somewhat linked him to my soul. But he couldn't quite take me, so I wasn't possessed. But he followed me, the little son of a bitch. He fucking followed me everywhere I went. I would have to investigate crimes that I knew the answer to. I became this world-renowned detective. I had to change my image every so often, because obviously since I'm not aging and I've lived since 1776, people knew they would dissect me, or at least think perhaps I had something to do with these crazy murders. Well, I do, in a way. I have to find him things to eat. You know, it's the curse. It's the curse. I have to find him things. So, unfortunately, I have to be judged, jury, and executioner of your life's worth. A lot of times I find no worth in many of the people's lives these days, which is pretty good, because he's eating fucking real good right now. He's fat as hell. He's a big fat shadow. Fat and happy, you know. So many worthless people in the world nowadays. Half of you sitting around doing nothing. Ponder your existence while waiting for a stimulus check that you don't need. You could work if you wanted to, but you choose not to. You say, I'm going to sit on my ass. Let other people take care of me. Well, guess what? He's coming for you. He loves to eat the lazy because they're fat and they can't escape him. And they fear more than anyone. They're always afraid of that little meal ticket ending. He loves that fear. You should see what he does to them. He sends little discontinue notices in the mail and shit. Extra bills. Tells them that they've defrauded something. Has them running crazy in their mind. Oh God, what did I do wrong? It's hilarious. It's hilarious. I'll be back. Oh no. Oh God, no. Oh, don't, please. I don't want to come in here. Don't do this. You don't have to do this, please. We could just forget about everything that I saw. I saw nothing. I promise, I won't tell anyone. It'll be my secret, your secret. We'll keep it to ourselves. No one has to know that you buried. Please, no! Darkness. Hey guys, how you doing? You're still there, thank you. You stick around for some more of this craziness. The craziness. Now, what is the next story that is in my brain? What crazy things can I discuss next? Well, I'm not sure yet. I haven't quite decided. You know? I do know one thing, though. It's 4:36 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Do you know where your children are? Well, I know where two of your children are. Yep. I know where two of them are. Hansel, Gretel? No, not them. No, we're not talking about them. They're fictional. I know where two of your kids are. Yep. You're probably wondering where they are right now. Like, I sent them to the store to get some candy. It's taking an awfully long time for them to get back. Well, that's because I enticed them with thoughts of grandeur. I had an iPhone, right? The newest one. Their eyes got big as fucking dinner plates. Wow! Like, wow! It's got 4 cameras on each side, so it's 8 cameras altogether. Imagine how many selfies I could take with those cameras. They were fucking excited as shit, these two little fuckers. Easy to take. Had my little van parked around the corner. Say, hey, you follow me right now. I've got 2 of these phones. One for each of you. Maybe one for your friends. You have any friends nearby, by any chance? Of course they didn't. I'm kind of mad about that. It's just the 2 fucking kids. Dumbass kids, too. Like, fucking stupid. Like, who's gonna follow some crazy looking, gnarled creature, which was me, but not in human form? I looked almost like a monster. They came to me anyway, and I was surprised. Because I had a fucking iPhone. Like 23. It's not even out yet. It's fake. It doesn't even exist. The fuck would you put 4 cameras on one side for? What sense does that make? Anyway, these 2 kids that I easily snatched. I mean, it was so fucking easy. I was mad at how easy it was. Threw them in the back of the van. Shut up. They knew it was on. They're thinking, oh my god, sex traffic. No. Nothing like that. See, I've been doing a service to the world. I've been snatching up dumbass kids. I put them on a farm and I make them farm chili peppers. Like slaves, basically. Except chili peppers, not cotton. Oh my god, he said that. Yeah, I did say it. I said it. And I'm going to continue on with my story based on this. Little slave children picking fucking peppers for my goddamn hot sauce empire. You know, they'd cry every fucking day. I don't want to go home to my mom. We need internet. Freaking TikTok. See, I did something very interesting. You know, every time they organized themselves and tried to overthrow the power, which was me, I'd give one of them a cell phone with TikTok access. And they pretty much beat the fucking living crap out of whoever touched that phone. It was hilarious. So I kept them in control. Basically control themselves. Now, you know, once a week, I'd allow them some social media time. Of course, they thought they were posting to the World Wide Web. They weren't. They're posting where I let them post. I mean, I can't have them posting on TikTok that they're fucking being slave ran in a goddamn chili pepper farm. I'd fuck my whole shit up. I have to pay people to farm my chilies. And I don't want to pay people to farm chilies because Why would I do that? Like, explain to me why I'm going to pay you to farm chilies for me when I can have you do it as a slave, right? You know what I'm saying? Because that's what it is. You know, we have slaves. Oh shit! God damn! I'm being attacked by the fucking ghosts are trying to get me. Whew, trying to get me. Ooh, I'm scared. Y'all seen it? You seen it happen? Okay. Oh shit! See, it's whispering. It said it's gonna break my neck. Oh, oh no.
So it's not gonna be able to be used anymore.
You hear it? Yo, did anybody hear that shit? Yo, the light came on. Did you see me move? You didn't see me move. Yo, I gotta investigate this. I'll be back. This shit is crazy. The light came on, door opened, some shit fell over. I'll be right back. Yo, this is crazy. And some shit's whispering. Y'all hear this. I know you hear this. I gotta investigate. I'll be back. I'm dead serious. I'll be back because we gotta talk about what the fuck just happened here. Y'all seen it.